Welcome back. We are in South Dakota. I was supposed to go to Aberdeen, but if you watch the last episode, you find out that I had some pretty nasty weather. We had ice, we had fog, we had wind. And I had to make an emergency landing here. It wasn't an emergency landing. It was I just couldn't land in Aberdeen. Just couldn't do it. I couldn't find the air strip, and I almost took out a few houses trying to find the airstrip, so we landed here. Now, the weather's not much better today. If you look at the wind sock over there, it's almost straight out, so I'm going to have to take off from the other end here to the left and to the right, because you want to take off against the wind. You don't want to take off the way the wind's blowing. You want to take off against the wind because it helps you get up faster. So anyway, let's get in here. We're going to head from where I am at, which is a little airfield. It's west of Aberdeen, where I wanted to be. And really that didn't matter because I'd never been to Aberdeen either. I'd never heard of it. But we are just west of Aberdeen in a little airfield called TC Field. There's no town here. It's a little tiny place. Its designation is 2SD9. And we're going to be taking off from here, and I'm going to do a little shorter trip tonight to see how that works. I'm looking at about 248 nautical miles from this little airstrip to Minnesota. We're going to head to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and we'll see how long that takes me to get there, and we'll go play it by ear. So let's get on with it. Let's get going here. The weather's not going to get any better, so let's get started. Turn the starter on, standby power, generator, turn that on. We'll turn the batteries on. We're going to give it a little bit of fuel boost, and we're going to turn the avionics on, and then we also need to have some fuel, which I haven't fueled yet. Okay, so let's get started. Let's get some fuel. Let me give myself a tank of fuel here. And let's see if we can get this thing started. Brakes on. Just thought about checking that. All right, got that started. Okay, let's look in here. I think I've got my lights on. Yeah, I had my lights on. Wing light is on. I'm not quite sure what heat this is. If you remember when I landed last night, I had ice on the windshield or windscreen, whatever you want to call it. So let's get an altitude set here. I'm going to go up to 6,000. We're going to set our barometer, which changed a little bit, put us down to 15. Whoa, that really changed quite a little bit. Glad I thought of doing that before I took off. And then, let's see, let's turn the flight director on. And we need to set our destination, so I'm just going to do a direct flight. And let's see, Minneapolis is KMSP. So let's put that in. Okay, Minneapolis in St. Paul International. Turn the keyboard off. We're going to enter that and activate it. And there we go. We're all set. So let's get out of here while we can. I'm going to sneak rather than do a... I wish that one guy wasn't standing there. I'm going to try to sneak around this guy. I won't hit him with the prop, and I think the wing will go right over his head. Yeah, they're fine. Is that a de-icer? That's a de-icer. Oh my God, where'd that car come from? Whoa. Now, if you remember, there was more ice and snow on the ground last night. This whole area was covered in snow last night. I don't know if it melted overnight or what, but maybe the wind did something. There's another airplane up in the air. Yeah, there's where I parked last night by the fuel tanks. I should look. Remember when I landed, if you watched it, and I said that the airstrip felt like a sidewalk? It's very narrow. And I got to thinking when I came in today, now that the snow's kind of melted a little bit, was I even on the runway, or was it really a sidewalk? Yeah, I meant to... It was so funny yesterday because I meant the first leg was about 3 hours, and it was about 900 some miles. And I said, I'm going to try to cut this down a little bit and make a little shorter trip. I want to get it down to about 2 hours. And so I chose 500 nautical miles, and it took me 4 hours to do it. Now, I didn't stop anywhere. Now, there is a little town, it looks like, close by. I don't know what it is. I'm guessing this is the runway. That grassy area to the left is the grass strip, and it's quite a bit wider. But it was full of snow yesterday. I couldn't tell where the strip was. So I came in on this tarmac area here. All right, so we're going to line up here. We're going to go into the wind. So I think the term is against the wind because the wind's blowing towards us. So let's go in and double check everything. All right, so I got lights on. Let me close that. I can turn this fuel boost off. And we got our lights running. I couldn't find any other kind of heat. There's heat down here, but it doesn't, you can't do anything with it. Nothing works. That little thing works, I think. No, it doesn't. It points at it, but it doesn't work. So, and this is the air conditioning. We don't definitely need air conditioning. So if I get frosted windows, I don't know what to do about it because I couldn't find, the only heat I find is over here. There's PS heat. And I'm not going to turn it on until we get in the air, and I don't even know if that's going to do anything. But we'll play with it, see what happens. And the only switches here that works is this one right here and the wing light. So, all right, we got altitude, we got fuel, we got the trim set. I think we're okay to get going. So let's give it a hoot here. Before we do, I want to pull my windows out so I can see what I'm doing over on the other PC next to me. That makes it so easy to be able to see where I'm at, what I'm doing when I'm outside of the plane, when we're showing the outside screen here. So we're going to be heading east and south just a hair. We're going to be basically heading east and south maybe about 15 degrees. Okay, so we need to go. We're going to have to take an immediate right as soon as we get in the air. But I'm going to go ahead and fly the plane manually for a ways. So let's take the brake off, give ourselves some fuel, and hope the wind is blowing straight at us and not at an angle. Give myself a flap. All right, back the throttle off because yeah, I can feel the wind up here. Wind is blowing. So we're going to make a turn here, kind of line up with our flight plan. And let me see if the autopilot will take off for us. Put the flap back up, and let's see if we can get some vertical speed here. I'm gonna try this one. It's a little bit more gentle than the vertical speed. See if that does the trick for us. The vertical speed, you hit that and then you hit the amount of climb that you want, or the amount of descending that you want. With the other one, the FLC, it uses your airspeed and your altimeter to raise you up to the height you want to be, in a very gentle way, slow and easy, if you will. And it's a little bit safer way to do it if you've got the time in the room to make the climb. I mean, if you're in a hurry to get down, you got to get down. You better use vertical speed. All right, so this is going to be a fun trip. I don't know what the weather's like on the route. I didn't check the weather, which I'm amiss to do. I should do that, and I didn't. Yeah, you can see I'm getting knocked around. There's Fountain. We're going to be heading over Aberdeen, so maybe this is where the bad weather was. If you remember, man, it was. I flew into a cloud that was on the ground. The cloud was all the way to the ground, and I came down to land, and I couldn't find the airstrip. I couldn't even see the lights of the airstrip. And about the time I came down low enough to see anything, it was the tops of roofs. I was flying, about 20 feet over houses and a lot of trees around the houses. And I never did see the lights of the airstrip. I think in the middle of the fog, I saw the airstrip itself, but I'm not sure now. I'd have to go back and look at the film and see if I really did see the airstrip or not. But yeah, the winds are blowing. You can see I'm getting knocked around quite a bit. Yeah, and I'm getting knocked around enough. There's Cortland. That I think I'm gonna come up. I think I'm gonna come up a little bit faster than I'm going to stop that. We're going to do vertical and pop this thing up so I can try to get above some of this. At least the clouds, if not the weather. And I'm not actually on the flight plan. It's like it's blowing me off course. Oh! I can see why. Oh, silly me, silly me. I've got us on Loc 1 instead of Oh, geez. Okay, there's Loc 2 and GPS. That's where I'm supposed to be. Now, let's see if we can line up and get on that. All right, let me see if I can hit that nav button again. That should bring me over, maybe. Or not. All right, I'm going to manually fly over there. Let me turn that off. Come around a little bit. We're going to be flying right over Aberdeen, but if you notice the clouds, we're not going to see anything. We're at our 6,000 feet. I'll worry about that in a minute. I'm still climbing. Let me bring the nose down a little bit. Hey, it's pretty nice up here. I think when I chose Aberdeen, I chose it because it was a certain amount of miles from my takeoff yesterday. And there's an Aberdeen in Washington, and I'm from Washington State originally. And so it just sounded familiar to me. So I chose Aberdeen, South Dakota. So we never did get to see it, and we're not going to see it today either. Let me see if I can get this autopilot to kick in. And we got the altitude set. Vertical speed. We're going to go down. Down to our 6,000. And let's see if we can catch our flight plan. We're going to cross over it here in a second. And if we're lucky, it says we're in autopilot and GPS. There goes the GPS. So it found our course, and it's going to straighten us up on it. So there, everything's just the way it should be. Looks like our RPMs are just about right. I'm looking at the RPMs right here. I don't want to overtax the engine. Speed is really no issue. I'm in no hurry to get anywhere. It's just a pleasure trip. There's Braun. Pull up my little nav map so I can kind of track our trip. Oh, I better erase yesterday's trip. Let me take care of that. And we'll start anew. So we're flying over Aberdeen at the moment. And we're not going to see a thing. A beautiful blanket. Okay, our airport is supposed to be right below us here. The clouds are kind of pretty. All right, so yeah, we're looking at a 571 nautical miles compared to 700 and something we had yesterday. There's Aberdeen Regional right below us. That's where I tried to land last night, and I didn't make it. Now, if you remember in the trip yesterday, at some point in time, I was talking about flying over. We were flying over an area that there were no clouds. It was a beautiful day. It was cold, but it was bright and sunny. And as we were flying over, I told you that sometimes while I'm flying, I will look around at the terrain to see if there's someplace that if I had a problem, I could land. Now, I was talking more about landing on a flat piece of ground like what we got below us here. But at the same time, I kind of watch for the little runways that are dotted around the United States. In case I had a problem, I'd at least know that there's something close by and in about which direction it was. And that's what I did last night. Came in really handy. I knew those two little airports because I talked about them. During the discussion of the flight, I mentioned those two little airports. I said one of them has got two strips. One of them is tarmac and one of them is a soft strip, which usually means grass or dirt. And so I knew approximately where they were. And so I climbed up out of the clouds and headed that direction. We landed. Everything was copacetic. I had a nice big pot of stew for dinner, and all was well with the world. I'm hoping that we get out of this cloud business because I'd like to see some country. Look how dark it is through those clouds. My problem is I'm only at 6,000 feet, and I started at about 1,500 feet. I don't have a lot of leeway to go down below these clouds. I don't want to be flying right directly on the ground. It looks like we're over some very nice farmland. Check the windshield. Make sure I don't have any ice on it. I might have to go up a little bit. All right. I don't want to fly through this. It's dangerous. So I'm going to bring it up. Oh, am I going down? I'm supposed to be going up. All right, how you like? Do it the right way. Do that. Come up. There we go. Get my up bug up there. Here we go. I was actually too far away from the board to do a proper job. I couldn't even see this wheel right here. I was clicking on the bar over here, which is nothing. That's just an icon. I missed the board completely. I'm so silly. Oh, hey, it's getting better. At least we can see something. Okay, so one thing I did not do was to set the altitude. I'm already over it. Oh, what? Man, come on. Let's bring the bug down. I'll bring it down to just a gentle little down swoop here. All right, hey, we're running into a little bit of snow ahead, looks like. This is weird because this ground was frozen last night, so I don't know if it's a graphical thing. If you remember, once I got into the cold weather, it was kind of green like this, and then all of a sudden, boom, everything was snowy. So it may be a graphical issue. Maybe something that has to be rendered. Maybe not. I don't know, because I don't know what the day was like here. They may have had a nice sunny, day that melted some of the snow. I'm a little leery. I need to make myself a cup of tea. It's about 7:45 in the evening for me. I meant to do this earlier in the day, but again, the kids, I had family stuff to deal with today. Nothing problematic, just normal living stuff with a family where they take your attention. I found out what a TBM9 was. It's a dollar. Oh hell, now I can't remember the name of the plane. It is a normal plane that comes with the flight sim. What's that over there? Andover. Isn't there an Andover in Michigan? I got a couple of maps pulled up today. Got one of Minnesota and one of South Dakota. Okay, I'm looking for Andover. There it is. So we're flying over Andover. So we are now a little bit south of Aberdeen, which is behind us, but we're lower than we were because, again, we're going slightly south in direction the whole trip here on a direct flight to Minneapolis. There's a little highway below us, looks like a state highway 12. It goes through Andover, and it's going to go through a little town called Bristol, which we're coming to right now. So that road right there looks like it's Highway 12. Now look how much shade we're getting from those clouds. Those are thick clouds. And we're back in snowy weather. Yeah, once we get through these clouds, I may run and start a teapot. put a kettle on. Know what I mean? Okay, there's Bristol. From Bristol, there should be a little town called Holmquist, just southeast of Bristol. That's probably over here. And in actuality, we're not far from the Minnesota state line. Oh boy, that cloud is a little bit higher. Gonna stick with it here because I think we're gonna just fly through it. Normally you wouldn't, you'd want to get up above, but I don't think it's gonna last. Oh, a little place called Kidder. Just kidding. I don't even see it on the map. There's a Florence, there's a Wallace, there's a Watertown, and the map I'm looking at, it looks like the bigger the town, the bigger the font is. So Watertown's pretty good sized font, so I'm thinking maybe it's a little bit bigger town. There's one in Minnesota just across the border called Yellow Medicine. What the hell does that mean, Yellow Medicine? All right, I'm going to quickly run and put a pot on. It'll only take me a second. Can't make tea without hot water. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I had to talk to the wife a minute while I was out there. What are we missing here? It's kind of hard to see anything with all that snow. Everything's covered in a blanket. Looks like we're following the highway though. The highway and the byway. So I think that what I'm going to do probably sorry, I had to sneeze. Initially what I did tonight is I came on and I made a quick flight plan between the little airport that I'm at, or that I was at, to O'Hare. Which is in Chicago. But it was It was quite a few miles. So, Morton. Where's Morton? Morton. I don't see it. Nope, don't see it. Must be a tiny little place. But it was too many miles, and so I looked at something about halfway between Aberdeen, South Dakota, and Chicago, and Minneapolis popped up. Now Minneapolis is a little bit north of the route that I wanted to go on, but it was about the right distance. I'm guessing. I'm trying to do this within a couple hours, this trip, and we'll see how we do. Now, man, that looks like ice. Wabi. Okay, I've seen Wabi on the map. Oh, wow, we're really getting close to the border. There was a town called, dang it, I wish I quit doing that. There was a town called Webster, just north of here. I wonder if that's over there. Webster, Wabi. We're just kind of flying. Just look at that little bitty place. Yeah, it's so cute. It's funny, you know, people that live in little towns, they still like their trees, by golly. You gotta have trees around to be homey. Okay, so directly east of here is a little town called Ortley. That must be that little mark right there. But again, we're flying kind of south. So I'm trying to see where we're going to end up here. Wabi, Ortley. We're going to. There's a major highway coming up, running north and south, south to north. It looks like it's got two indications on it. It's probably a state indication and a local. Highway 81 is in small, and then Highway 29. I'm guessing Highway 29 is probably a state road. Things look a little bit different with snow on them, I'll tell you. Make me shiver. All right, so here's what we're looking at. Disregard the yellow line. That was from yesterday's flight plan. I need to get rid of that. I haven't done it yet. And the broken line there is how far we've flown today. So you'll notice that we've flown from just west of Aberdeen to where we're at here. And again, this map doesn't really show towns. It shows airports and airfields, things like that. But it looks like we're coming up on the border to Minnesota. I think that this is our border line right here. And then we'll be in Minnesota in this area. Now, wait a minute. Millbank, is that Minnesota? Millbank. No, it's still South Dakota. So yeah, I think that gray line right there, I think, is the borderline. But hell, I don't know. There may not even be a state borderline on this map because it's not that kind of map. Anyway, there you go. I could bring the other map over I'm looking at. It's right here. So, again, we just left what, Wabi. There's Wabi right there. And then see, here's Minnesota in the gray. That's Minnesota. So, we're getting close. Yeah, I found a set of maps that suit my purpose. It's called all one word, ontheworldmap.com, and you choose whatever country, whatever state you want, and it puts the counties in a bright green boundary. If you notice that, which is kind of handy. I know what county I am. See, these are county lines. Very easy to see. Marvin, hey, Marvin the Martian. You make me so angry. He was always pissed off at Daffy Duck. Old Marvin. So we've already passed the highway that I was talking about. Darn it, I didn't get to see it. Unless that's it right. No, that can't be it. I don't know where the heck's that. Supposedly we're on the other side of it because... Wait a minute. Where was Marvin? Did we pass Marvin? There's Marvin. So yeah, Marvin... Marvin is past that highway. I didn't see that highway. It's got to be... It must be that one right there. That must be the highway right there that I was looking at. Weird. Look different on the map. Okay, we're in Grant County. We're on Highway 12. That road that goes through Marvin was Highway 12 there. And we're going to be heading to, if you follow that road, I believe it's this one, Kilbourne. I didn't see Kilbourne. Huh. There's a town called Millbank on that road. Kilbourne's tiny. I don't see... Looks like a homestead. But at least there's civilization out here. If you remember the flight yesterday, we flew a lot of miles where there was nothing. And I was calling it no man's land. Beautiful blue skies. Wispy little clouds up there. It looks a lot better than those clouds we were flying through. They looked a little stormy. All right, I'm gonna go start my tea brewing because we're coming up on the border and I want to be here before we go into Minnesota. I think that's Minnesota right there, so I'm gonna be very quick. Did I make it, or are we in Minnesota? There's Millbank. I made it. Millbank is still in South Dakota, so. But we're close. That's the last little town, I think. Not including what that is over there. Minnesota. Ortonville, Municipal, Martinson. All right, I see Mortonville. Mortonville is in Minnesota. So we're going to cross the border here. There's a place called Big Stone City right on the border, on the South Dakota side. I don't see it though. It'd be over here. So, on the South Dakota side, there's a lake called Lake Albert, just right on the border, but it's on South Dakota side. That must be it right there, because that looks like a lake of some kind. That's the only thing I see that looks like a lake. So, this must be the border right here. So I'm going to switch over to the Minnesota map. All right, this map looks a lot different. Weird, because it's from the same place. Okay. Odessa. Could be a little town called Appleton, someplace around here. So this is a country my dad's generation came from. It's where my dad was raised, and then as an adult moved with a couple aunts and uncles, couple of the siblings. Let's see, there was him. Let's see, my dad's brother, and my dad's 3 sisters moved west to Washington from Minnesota, and I was born in Washington. Never been to Minnesota. My dad would come back and visit many times, but I never did go with him. But I was kind of independent. I left home when I was 15 and didn't go back for a long time. Right, so we have been on this route for a little less than an hour, and we've got at least that long to get to Minneapolis, St. Paul. So this is probably about the right distance. Let me check my little nav map again and see what this route was all about. What's it all about, Alfie? Okay, that's not the map I was using. Sky Vector. All right, so this is the way I plotted it. This is a different program. This is called Sky Vector. And you can see where we started, and we're looking at about 250 miles, nautical miles, 248. So that gives me a pretty good idea that about 250 to 300 miles is about the size of trip I want to make, because that puts me around 2 to 2.5 hours instead of 3 and 4. So this is what we'll probably do, is just continue on, and from St. Paul on the next leg, we'll head towards Chicago and see how close we can get within 250 miles. I don't know how many miles it is, but we got Chicago. Okay, there's O'Hare. So that's going to be a little bit further than what I'm doing today, I think. Maybe not. Maybe not. That looks about the same. That might work. That might work if you look at that distance right there and bring it down here. It may be a little bit farther to Chicago. It looks like maybe we'd get right about in here. Well, that's close enough. All right, good. That's what we'll do. Okay, what are we missing here? Is that country up here that doesn't have snow on it? Are we getting out of the snowy weather? Appleton. Oh, that's a cute little runway. Edison. Is that a little town, Edison? Very little. We got some kind of construction over here. Looks like my tea's ready. I'll be back. I'm back. Hey, where'd the snow go? I left for 5 minutes and the snow left. Swenoda? What the heck? Swenoda. Strange name. Now I can say I've flown over Minnesota. Look, it's a lot of farmland. Now, if we look at the map, you'll see that we came across the border right here from South Dakota. So we're on the south part of Minnesota right here. We're heading for St. Paul. So we're on the south side. And we're heading south the whole trip, so, you know, we're getting away from the northern cold. But if you notice, that must be one of the Great Lakes. Is that Superior, the end of Superior? But we're looking up here at Canada. We're in Canada up here. International Falls, Big Falls. Lake of the Woods. Back at it. There's Grace. I wonder if Grace is amazing. Winter Strip. I wonder how they named their airport. Probably somebody's name. Winter. I can't pronounce that. Schwerk? Hey, they got a place called New London north of here. Up in there someplace. There's Murdoch Municipal. Oh, it's Schwenk. Schwenk. What are we at? 7,000 feet. Let's come down a little bit. Come down to 6. And I'm going to hit our... Oh, wow. We're already... I set the barometer and lost about 180. All right, let's head down. Head down a little bit. Whoops, I'm heading up. Don't head up, head down. Bring my little bug down. Oh, and look, we're getting into snowy weather again. Isn't that weird? It says a couple places here. I think that's a building. I don't think that's snow on that building right there. I think that's a Luritzen. Well, we're going to run into some weather again. Now, I'm pretty sure my dad was from the St. Paul area of Minnesota. We're going to be, or I'm sorry, not the St. Paul. I think my dad was from St. Cloud, which is about northwest of St. Paul. It's over by Princeton and Cambridge. This map I'm looking at, it's a kind of a tourist map because it's got all the places where you would get tourist information marked on the map. So if you were traveling, woods, they're stuck in the woods. Beautiful farmland. It looks like, I wonder what it gets in the summertime. In the summertime, when all the trees and leaves are green and the redbirds sing, I'll be blue, 'cause you don't want my love. Look at, we've got Wilmar Municipal. Okay, I know where I'm at now then. I can see that on the map. Okay, so this St. John's cool. So this airstrip is also a VOR. There's a VOR right in the center of that airport. Hennock. John L. Rice. So it's named after somebody. probably a rich man. Yeah, again, I thought about changing planes, so I was looking at planes. But I'm thinking any plane that I switch to now is going to be a plane I'm not familiar with. And maybe it's not the best idea to switch planes when I've got weather and things to contend with. It's better that I stick with a plane I'm familiar with flying. So we'll leave it at that. Wilmar. Looks like a nice sized little town. It's got a nice sized airport. Yeah. I don't remember who I was talking to, but in most cases your airport is out of town just a little ways. But somebody told me in Great Britain, in England area, there's an airport that's right in the middle of town. That seemed like it'd be quite dangerous. I'm wondering if it's a very big airport. Now, this is a good-sized little town here. Because if you look at it, it looks like it was laid out very well. Some places like Portland, that it's like they just built on and everything's willy-nilly and there's no planning at all. At least that's what it looks like. But this looked like it was planned out. If you look at this area where the houses are, the homes, it looks pretty well planned out. Candioi Township. I bet I butchered that. If the clouds stay like they are right now, I'll be a happy camper when we get to the airport. But we're not there yet. We got another airport just off to the left in front of us. There's Lux Strip, a small airport. There's Litchfield is the one I'm looking at. It also has a VOR around it, close to it, and that is Genesee. The airstrip is Litchfield, it says. That's Pagel. It just looks cold down there. I just got a message from Alexa. Now there's a way for you to set your lights off by your snoring. Evidently, you set it when it hears you snoring, it'll turn your lights off. So if you decided to read in bed, don't smoke in bed. Never smoke in bed. But if you're reading in bed, sometimes you fall asleep, and if it hears you snoring, it'll kick your lights out. Interesting. I used to snore quite badly, and then this was, oh God, had to be 20-some years ago, 23 years ago, 20 years ago. I went on a medical diet when I first found out I had diabetes, and I lost 50 pounds. And when I did, I realized that I wasn't snoring anymore, and I gave up the CPAP machine. I hated that thing anyway. And there's a question of people: are you a mouth breather or a nose breather? And they usually ask it by, are you a mouth breather? And it sounds offensive to me. They generally associate mouth breathers to, I don't know, something maybe not so good. There's the Litchfield airport I was talking about right there. Anyway, I'm a nose breather. I breathe at night. I sleep with my mouth closed and breathe through my nose unless I've got a cold. But majority of the time, I breathe out of my nose. Some people at night, their mouth is wide open, and they're sucking it in, and it's loud. It's funny to hear some people. You hear it in movies and comedies and stuff where somebody's snoring, and you hear the snore, and then whoop, 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 whoop. I've actually heard people do that in their sleep, where they'll snore and do some kind of whoop, 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 or some strange noise. And immediately you start thinking of the Three Stooges or something, you know. All right, now what is that? What airport is that? Flying Cloud. I thought it was Flying Clown because it shows flying and then CLO, and that's it. It cuts it off on the map. And I thought, Flying Clown? No, it's Flying Cloud. It's right by St. Paul. There's several airports around one particular area. Amazing. There's Flying Cloud. There is the Minneapolis airport. That's one we're heading for. There is Crystal Airport just north of that. And then to the east of Minneapolis is St. Paul, downtown Holman Field. All of these airports are within just a few miles of each other. It's weird. That's a lot of airports. I guess I didn't need to fly into Minneapolis. That's the biggest one. But, oh well. Ellsworth. I was hoping that we'd get out of this icy stuff. All right, let me see if I can find this Minneapolis airport. See what it looks like when we get there. right, Minneapolis. We're going to be flying. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 runways that I can see. None of them are really lined up for me. One of them is not too bad. But it's a big airport. I should see it from a distance. From a distance. The St. Paul has got 3 strips, landing strips. There is another one just below that. South St. Paul has 1 strip. I'm telling you, there's airports everywhere, all in the Minneapolis area. In just Minneapolis. There's another one. It's got 3 strips. That's the Flying Cloud one I spoke of earlier. To the north of Minneapolis, there's another one, the Holman Field. That's St. Paul. And then there's another one, Crystal, that I spoke of. It's got 2 strips. Shigawa Lake ahead of us here. Right ahead. Little airstrip. Yeah, that's a lot of airports. And I don't even think I've seen them all. Nope, I haven't seen them all. There's another one. Holy moly. Why do you need that many airports? Well, we'll see when we get there. Maybe there's planes flying everywhere. And oh my God, are we moving into a cloud bank? Don't tell me. I don't want to go through that again. That was scary last night. Stockholm. Uh-oh. How did we get across the pond? We're in Stockholm, Sweden. Sweden. I need to fly over Sweden because I have subscribers that live there. As a matter of fact, the gentleman I'm thinking of actually, before COVID, vacationed in the United States in the Oregon area where I'm at every year. He's got a friend that lives over here, and every year he would come over for a summer vacation. And then, of course, COVID hit. Nobody was traveling. Winstead and McKean. That's so McKean. I am a little disappointed because we've had so much snowy weather up here that it's not quite the same as looking at what feels to be a warm, green grass, green trees, summertime, for sightseeing I'm talking about. It's almost like black and white, gray and white. It's just kind of gloomy with the snow. It just doesn't quite seem like good weather for sightseeing, if you know what I mean. But we still get to see quite a bit of it. I mean, there's quite a bit of farmland in the United States, isn't there? There's Victor. What's your vector, Victor? It's America's full of a lot of people and they all need to eat. There's got to be a lot of farmland. Well, I wish my dad was still alive. I could tell him I flew over Minnesota. My dad would be amazed at this program. He wasn't much into computers and such. I don't think he ever saw my studio. He had a little laptop, but the only thing he did with it was solitaire he had a bunch of gambling programs. Now, he wasn't actually gambling. They were just the games. Like, I don't know what they call them. When you put a coin in, you pull a lever, and the wheel spins, and it's ding, 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 and it's all cherries, and you win. Whatever those are, he had a program like that. These were just games that you'd find in a casino. He enjoyed it. He didn't gamble much, really. He'd buy a lottery ticket once in a while. That's what I used to get for him for his birthday, because he used to love to scratch those things off and maybe win a buck or two and go and spend it in a restaurant. He loved to eat. Goose Lake, Hollywood. What do we got over there? Brant. Anyway, I would buy him, because he lived in Washington, I would buy him Oregon scratch tickets, because unless he traveled to Oregon, he wasn't going to get any. I could always buy him Washington ones, and he could buy those himself. So I would buy him a big handful of Oregon ones. You want to hear something really strange? Pardon me, I take a swig of hot tea here. I was talking about this, about my father and me buying for a birthday present, a big stack of scratch-off tickets that he could scratch off one a day or so and maybe win something. And I was talking about that to a customer in my business. And, of course, this was a few years ago when my father was still alive. And she said, yeah, my kids do that for me. And I said, oh, the way you say that, did you not like that? I mean, why would they buy you something that you weren't happy about? She says, that's not why I'm not happy. She says, I'm not happy because the little bastards, and these are adult, grown, married children. And she said the little bastards would scratch them before they gave them to me. And they were all losers. And I often wondered if any of them were winners if they kept them. And I thought, are you kidding me? They gave you used? Are you kidding me? She says, nope. It happened every year. And she said, I thought about disowning them out of my will, but I thought, oh, what the hell. Can you imagine? Who in their right mind would think that would be a good thing to do for somebody's birthday, is to buy a bunch of tickets, scratch them yourself, and then give the losers to the person as a gift? Who would think like that? At first I thought she was teasing me, but no, she was actually angry when she said it to me. Amundsen. I see blue sky right above me, but so far I can see perfectly fine, but look ahead. That doesn't look good. There's some moisture in those clouds, and they look like they're lower to the ground. I'm not happy. Of course, we're not there yet. We are getting close, but we're not there yet. All right, let's move. I'm going to move to my little nav map so I can see where I'm at. Yeah, I'm getting close. I'm pretty close to the Flying Cloud Airport. It's a little south of me. Let me check my barometer before I get any closer and see what's going on there. Let's get in here. There's my barometer right there. Let me set that. It didn't change much. Took me up a little bit. But that'll get me closer. Well, shoot, I hope those clouds stay right where they're at, because I can still see the ground. If it stays like this, we'll be okay. We've got maybe 30 miles, 50 miles. It's hard to tell from this map. But we're coming in pretty close. Let me see if it'll tell me if I lock onto the airport, if it'll tell me. Yeah, I can't tell. Am I still dropping? No, I'm at 6,000. It's weird. I looked up and oh, that's my airport right there. Holy croly. I didn't think I was that close. Well, let me move my seat up here and get ready, because we're coming in. All right, let's see. What direction are these airstrips going? Okay, let's see. I'm gonna take over here. We'll leave the flight director. Do I need the flight director? I don't need the flight director. I'm gonna turn that off. And I'm gonna cut the power just a little bit. We're gonna come over this way because I think the one runway goes a little bit that way. So let's come over here and see if I can get in. If I can get into the glide slope. Now, I'm not using ILS, so it's going to not do me any bit of good to be in the glide slope. But on the map I'm using next to me, it shows where the glide slope is. So if I can get my plane by using that map into that glide slope, I can know that I'm going to be at least halfway lined up to the runway. So I'm going to drop the throttle because I'm speeding. Let me cut the throttle down a little bit. I don't have to put the landing gear down because they're already down. All right, so I don't need to be, I can get a little bit more over this way. And I can stay up here about 3,000 to 4,000 feet. I'm at 4,000 feet now. Let me hit the barometer again, make sure everything's good. I'm going to drop down to about 3,000 and come in. Got two choices ahead of me. One of them is at a better angle. I can show you what I'm looking at. Okay, I'm looking at this right here. If that yellow plane is me, if I get in this glide slope here, I can come in this big one here, or I can get in this glide slope and come across the river. So, and whoa, I'm going the wrong damn way. What the hell? I better get back out there. Oh, no wonder. What the hell? Got to be more careful. I thought I was leveled off, but I wasn't. It's weird, too, because I was watching the plane on the map, and I was wondering, where's my plane going? And it didn't hit me until, wait a minute. That's actually us. All right, so let's get a little bit further here. It's a long glide slope, so I'm going to try to get out as far as I can on it. and come in. That gives me a much better, easier time of lining up with the runway. Okay, and I'm going too slow. I'm going to stall. So let me kick the throttle up. I think I'm going to take the first one. It's a bigger runway. I don't need the big runway, but what the hey, huh? What the hey, Heidi ho? Man, I did not realize I was this close. I don't know what my time looks like. About an hour and 30 minutes, hour and a half. That's about right. By the time I get my plane ready to take off and get it shut down when I get to the airport, that'll put me right around 2 hours. That's about right. So, what did I say? I was traveling 250 miles, about 250. That's half the distance that I did last night. If I'm flying with GPS and autopilot on a plane like this, unless I know I'm going into really bad weather, I don't see any point in putting ILS in. If I'm flying by what I can see. All right, I'm getting close to the glide slope area. I'm coming into it right now. I'm going to wait till I get kind of in the center and then kind of line up, because there's my airport landing strip right in front of us. And everything should be fine. I'm heading for that great big one right in the middle. Okay, 130 should be fine. I'll probably be around 70 nautical miles an hour by the time I decide to put her down. But let me get a little over this way, just a little, and then come back. We'll be fine. All right, I'm gonna put a flap down. That raised my nose a little bit. And push her down. Cut the throttle a little. I don't know if I have wind or not. I can't really feel it yet, but put another flap down. I better start coming down a little bit. I'm not exactly lined up, but that's okay. This thing's pretty maneuverable. It's a big airport. I kind of went for the big strip because it gives me enough room to bring her down. Oh, I bounced a little. Just a little bit. Throw the brakes on. It's a little slick. I can feel myself moving. So not the prettiest landing, but I slid a little bit. Whoa, slow her down, slow her down. All right, let's go find a place to park and look for a nice warm little restaurant that has some hot chili or something. All right, where do I want to go? Let's see. What are we looking at here? This is a nice airport. I'm going to head over that way. Put my flap back up, I guess. Or 2 flaps. I had 2 flaps down. Mendota Heights. What's that big tall one in the sky there? Fort Snelling. Am I on a runway? I'm on a runway. Move it. It's slick. I'm sliding a little bit. I better slow down. Hey, I didn't have any ice on the windshield this time, though. Must be a little bit warmer here. Look at those nasty looking clouds, though. That looks like a storm. I'm glad I didn't have to fly any farther tonight. All right, I'm going to let the big boys park over here. We'll mosey on down the road here a little bit further. These big airports, they don't need windsocks, I guess. Oasis. That's a big boy. www.oasisva.es. Okay, let's these look smaller. Can I go into a delta area? I don't really need a jetway. That's a big one. That's a big one. Somebody's gonna yell at me for getting in that one. There's a food truck. That's where I want to be. There's 2 of them, one to the left, one to the right. I want to be close to a food truck. Hey, I'm driving here. Yeah, if you're interested in a nice little plane that holds 8 people and is easy to fly, reliable, can travel a little bit of a distance. You travel about 900 miles. This is the plane for you. All right, beggars can't be choosers. I'm just going to choose a spot and pull in. Yeah, they don't like it. This is kind of amazing, really, because normally I'll be looking for a place for one of those big jumbo jets and can't find one. And then here we've got them all over the place. It's crazy. I'm taking one. Heck with you guys. I'll just pretend that I fly for Delta. My brakes aren't working. What the hell? It's sliding all over the place. I'm going to take my share out of the middle here. Oh, come on, brakes. Ah! All right, I better shut her down before I hit something. Yeah, it's kind of slicky out here. Snotty. It's snotty. All right, hey, good trip, eh? All right, let's start shutting things down. So let's start with our panel over here. Let's see. Let's Let's turn our lights off. We'll leave the beacon on until I turn the engine off. I don't know what that is. Power outlet. Oh, that's the crew power. Okay, I don't know if I can turn that off. When did I turn the cabin light on? I don't remember that. Okay, lights are off except for the beacon. We're going to leave that on because the engine's still running. Then we'll shut our engine down. So let's move across the board here and see what we're looking at. Anything here still on? There's nothing still on. Okay. And then we can start switching stuff off here. So let's start with the avionics. And we'll leave the standby for a second here. We'll leave that on normal. We're going to... we don't have a fuel booster on. What is that? I don't know what the hell that is. Turn that off. We'll turn that off. And then we'll turn the engines off. Come up here. And cut the fuel. That should turn the engines off. There we go. And now we can turn the beacon off. And we're done. Done and dusted for the night. I think we're okay. I don't need to leave the battery on. Let's turn that off. So here we are, Minnesota. I hope you had fun. In the next leg, we're going to be heading for Illinois. We're going to be stopping off at Chicago if we're lucky, if I can make it that far in a couple hours. Chicago O'Hare, and we'll rest there for the night. And then I don't know. I'm going to have to look at the map to see what we're going to do next. I'm debating whether to go to New York or not. Only because I've flown in New York several times with the big jumbos in videos. So, and that's going to be actually kind of out of the way from where we are. I'm going to have to go north to get there and then turn around and go back down south. So I might just take off to, say, maybe the Washington area and then head down to Florida. We'll see. I need to look at a map. Anyway, that's a story for another day. Again, I hope you had fun. Take care of yourselves. Hopefully I'll see you there. Ta-ta.